Hello everybody. I can't believe I have to make a video about this, but I do because it is a major opportunity for hims, or rather should I say for hers. See, so if you followed the stock since 2023, 2022, you knew that HRT was coming and that HRT was big. It was discussed in the early conference call of hims, and then weight loss kind of became the pressing matter and they had to rush into weight loss. Now HIMSS is back on track. They're back on their initial plan and they're going to begin what I think is going to be an HRT offering, but they're going to begin with the HERS side of the business, which is interesting because I always thought they would begin with the HIMSS side of the business, but no, they're beginning with the HERS side of the business, and it actually makes business sense because of menopause. So we are going to talk about menopause today as a market for HIMSS, the stock, i.e. HERS, the side of the business. And while 96% of my viewers will never have menopause, 4% of my viewers will, but 96% won't, we may forget that while not all men get andropause, not all men need HRT for testosterone, for women it's a little different. Actually, half the people in the USA will have menopause or have had it. And I would argue with a Dudem on this and say it's actually 51 to 52% because there's a tad more women in the world. So half the people will actually need something for menopause, and testosterone is actually the smaller market. So that's point number one. So that's why I think we're beginning to with menopause, and menopause will be bigger than weight loss for HIMSS because not half of the population is going to need obesity treatment. That's not the case for menopause, and it's an aspect that is undertreated, at least per the CEO article on this, and per my own research, it is not as treated as much as it could be. There's accessibility issues, and you'll understand why. It's an issue of ping pong all over again, ping ponging between medical professional to another medical professional to another medical professional. It's a multi-symptom issue, menopause, and having one centralized provider that doesn't charge you for the doctor visit could be a major selling point for HIMSS treating menopause. And I want to point that out too. Why do they focus on menopause? Well, that's HIMSS for you. They focus on issues that are minor or widespread or that everybody gets, that are easily treatable with a low cost so that you don't need insurance, and that is a big market. It's kind of the total opposite of some of the stocks that I covered yesterday when I showed you that drug for multiple sclerosis that was $30,000 a month or something like that. Well, that's a niche market. They're not going after that market. They're going after the treatments that are going to be 50, 60, 70 bucks a month. But in exchange of charging so little, you get such a huge market. So let's go and let's talk about menopause. So menopause. What is menopause? Menopause is the end of menstrual cycles, so the end of periods, between 45 and 55 years old, typically more or less. There are symptoms. The symptoms include hot flashes, mood swings, and sleep issues. And there's also hormonal changes, which lead to a reduction in estrogen, hence HRT, and the desire by many people going through menopause to get HRT, because having a reduced estrogen impacts your health, impacts your comfort, and there are issues with vaginal dryness and a risk of osteoporosis. So these are the four main aspects. Now, before I even go into periods and menstrual cycles, I won't go there too much, but I just want to point out that, menopause, of course, 45 to 55 is typically the age. I can't help thinking of a specific chapter in that book. And if you are a woman, you might be interested in reading this book, Lifespan, the best-selling book in genetics, the head of longevity at Harvard. And he talks about the very effect of things like NMN and NAD. Right now, NMN is tough to get in the US because it's under study as a longevity drug. But the menopause, I mean, it's still going to happen to everybody, but there's research at the edge. There's research at the edge and fascinating story of women in their 70s taking NMN and having things coming back in their body. Fascinating stuff. That's David Sinclair from Harvard University, head of longevity. Done with the aside, and I believe, by the way, HIMSS could also get into the supplement business because these supplements like NAD, for example, are really big supplements. That's something they could easily get into. We're just going to put that aside for now and focused on the classic medicine. I'm going to call it the classic medicine. Okay, you have a problem, you need it addressed. So let's start with the first issue. So the first issue is hot flashes and hormonal changes together. So these, according to Grok, in my conversation with Grok, these can be treated via a patch. It's an estradiol patch, transdermal patch, and of course that's available as a generic. And you also have estromarine and prometrium, which are creams. Pills. These are pills. Sorry, these are pills. I'll get to the creams in a second. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's a big thing. So these are pills. Okay. This is a patch. So that's how you would deal with a lot of the hormonal stuff and the hot flashes. Moving on now to the mood swings. So how do you deal with the mood swings? Well, this is where you're going to see some synergies with the HERS anxiety business. So you deal with mood swings with either SSRIs or SNRIs. My doc in the house says SNRIs are best for this, and I have something to say about Cymbalta in a sec. But examples are sertraline or fluoxetine. These are already drugs that HIMSS is used to prescribing. These are anxiety medication. HIMSS has qualified prescribers for these, qualified docs working there already prescribing those. And then SNRI, so the SNRI in question that was popular with mood swings and dealing with mood swings was Cymbalta. And now it's mostly generic. If you actually look at Cymbalta and you look up Cymbalta online, you can see the huge market that Eli Lilly lost in 2014 when Cymbalta fell off patent. They had to fire 200 people. It was a complete mess because Cymbalta was, I'm going to call it a mini blockbuster drug in kind of that space. And now, of course, that's a generic. Now, how do you deal with the sleep issues? Well, more pills. So you have gabapentin, and you can see it's made by Teva. So if it's made by Teva, you want know one thing. I mean, the example here is if it's made by Teva, it's a generic. So gabapentin is one, and then you have trazodone hydrochloride as well. And melatonin. So melatonin, it depends on the country. In the US, you have no issues getting it, at Walmart or whatever. Depending on the country you're in, melatonin, sometimes you may need a prescription dose melatonin. But these are all things that you. So these three drugs right there, that's for sleep issues. These three right there, that's for the mood swings and dealing with the mood swings. And then what else do I have not addressed? And that's a lot of drugs. Look at this. So that's a good four. What do I have? I have 6 of them here. Let's move on to this one. So vaginal dryness and risk of osteoporosis. How do we deal with that? Well, first of all, we need to look at the creams. So you have Vagisil is one of the cream, and estradiol vaginal cream 0.01%. That's another one. Again, please give a like, first of all, and then second of all, come on, do something about the marketing here. The marketing is really not the best. And let me just move on and talk briefly about some of the osteoporosis issues. So how do you deal with osteoporosis? You have this one, raloxifene, residronet sodium, and then you have Osphena, which apparently deals with both vaginal dryness and osteoporosis. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't believe I just discussed this. Please give me a like. Anyways, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's summarize. So I've highlighted a total of 14 prescription drugs that could, would, may, should, would be used in the case of menopause based on the expertise and the knowledge of the medical provider. Imagine you're a medical provider or you're an OBGYN, for example. Imagine the mess in deciding which one it is. And then imagine the mess for the patient. And you know, most of these are pills. Imagine the mess for the patient if you have to take 5 or 6 pills or something like that. So this is where HIMSS comes in. This is where HIMSS comes in. This is what I think they're going to be able to do. One, they're going to be able to brand it. So you could have a hers for menopause, and they could brand it, and they could make the consumer feel good about the branding. And so this is a classic that we've become used to with HIMSS. You can imagine all of these pills. You can imagine any combination of them selected by the provider. Let's say the provider recommends like 5 or 6 of these, and then HIMSS, being a compounding pharmacy, compounds it into one drug. The drug is personalized. It is marketed. I asked Grok to generate a possible pill for me. It could look like this with a little hers logo on it, and it's got the 5 or 6 active ingredients in there. It increases patient adherence, and you get just the right dosage. You don't have any risk of people taking too many or too little. And you could also, in the case of dryness, you could redesign your hers cream, and so you could imagine a cream that looks like this for dryness by HIMSS. You could have HIMSS is a marketing machine, right? They're going to make it very, very highly marketing. And the usual first principle, you know, customer centricity, making the customer feel good when they take the product, it's to me it doesn't need much explanation. Compare the look of all of this, you feel like you have a problem, right? And compare the look of this, you feel like you feel good. And so that's what they've done for every single product that they have. All of their ED drugs, they did that. Their heart health drugs, they did that. I believe they will be able to do that with menopause and make women feel good about getting treatment for menopause and not feel like they have a major issue with them. So that's what HIMSS does. It's customer-centric, putting the customer first. Then, moving on to the mess. So this is the mess of all of these prescriptions. And remember, for example, when we talk about SSRI and anxiety drugs, Dudum always says, well, typically the provider, they're going to prescribe one, then they want to check in and see how you do, and then they prescribe another one and they check in and see how you do, and there's only like 4 or 5 brands you go through and you stop when you found the right one, and they use their intuition, right? Well, MedMatch doesn't do that. AI doesn't do that. AI, as they get more data, they're able to match the onboarding questionnaire, the people, the data of the customer, they match it to their major data set, and they're able to select exactly what type of drug is needed and in what quantity is needed, and then they show that to the provider, and the provider is offered by a few custom drugs. The provider makes the final say, has the final say, but it is the AI that helps with the recommendation. And you can understand, when you have 14 different meds, how can you expect to select the right ones and match the right ones? It's very hard to do. This is where AI, I think, is going to shine for HIMSS. And I want to point out, we also knew this was coming, because they've been known to hire recently OBGYN on the Earth side of the business, and many women's health providers have joined hers in the business. So we know this is coming. We know they're launching this. This is quite exciting, if you ask me. And moving on and finishing up with Q3. So you may remember me pointing out the Q3 bump. The Q3 bump, Q3 2024, the growth, the revenue of this business accelerated. And that was because of the GLP-1s, most likely, and the weight loss business. Well, I believe that when they launch Menopause full speed, we will have probably another bump in quarter. Menopause should be just as big, and it makes sense that they will start with menopause when they deal with hormonal treatments. It would make sense that they start with that, because menopause is much more common than andropause. But don't forget, at some point there will also be HRT and andropause, and HRT, there's a true marketing problem with HRT. You go to any strip mall in America, you see these low T centers. And so that's also a market, but that's going to be the smaller market, I believe. The bigger market is going to be menopause, although I don't underestimate the heavy marketing that is done in the man's world around testosterone, and a lot of people want to get it too. So that will be a business too, but it looks like they're beginning with the HERS side of a business. Makes sense to me. It's It's the bigger business. It's the bigger business. Half of America has had, is having, or will have it. So it is the bigger business. And I look forward to seeing that business turn into revenue growth and them offering a better solution than what is currently available. Anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is just entertainment, not health advice, not menopause advice. Please give me a like, especially for today's video, please. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.